When life feels like it's closing in on you, when every door you knock on seems locked, and every road you walk feels heavy beneath your feet, I want you to pause for a moment and remember this truth: God's not done with you yet. He's still writing your story, and what He's preparing is far greater than what you've lost. Sometimes the silence, the struggle, the pain, it's not a punishment, it's preparation. You may not understand what's happening right now, but trust me, God's got a great life for you. You see, too often we judge our future by our current situation. We look at the storm and forget the promise, but the same God who allowed the storm is the one who controls the wind and the waves. He's shaping you through what you're facing. You might be in a chapter that feels like loss, but this is not the whole book. The pain you're enduring is not the end, it's the soil from which purpose will grow. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every tear has a role in the divine design. There are moments when God will strip things away, not to hurt you, but to make room for what's next. Sometimes we hold on so tightly to what's familiar that we don't realize God is trying to hand us something far better. You may have lost a job, but maybe God is preparing you to build your own. You may have lost a relationship, but maybe God is clearing the space for someone who will love you the way He designed you to be loved. You may be walking through loneliness, but maybe God is calling you closer to Himself so He can show you who you really are before He shows you who's meant to walk beside you. The enemy wants you to believe it's over. He wants you to think you've missed your moment, that it's too late, that you've made too many mistakes. But God specializes in using what looks broken to display His glory. He takes what people cast aside and turns it into a testimony. You may have been counted out by others, but when God counts you in, it doesn't matter who walked away. God never builds your future based on who left. He builds it on who stayed Him. If you could see what God sees, you'd stop worrying, you'd stop doubting yourself, you'd stop settling for less, because the life He's designed for you is not average, it's not ordinary, it's abundant, overflowing, and filled with divine purpose. You were not created just to survive. You were created to shine, to impact, to grow, to overcome. Every obstacle you've faced was a setup for a comeback that only God could orchestrate. So don't curse your process. Don't run from the waiting season. Don't despise small beginnings. You may not feel it yet, but something is shifting in your favor. Doors are being aligned, people are being positioned, and opportunities are being released that have your name on them. God's timing is not random, it's strategic. You had to go through the pain to gain the wisdom. You had to walk through the fire to learn what couldn't burn you. You had to be broken to realize what truly makes you whole. You might feel overlooked right now, but you are not forgotten. Heaven has your name written on its calendar. What's coming will make sense of what was confusing. What's arriving will heal what was hurting. What God has for you, no one can take. It's too tailored, too divine, too specific. God's got a great life for you, greater than the one you planned, greater than the one you prayed for. But to reach it, you've got to trust the process, keep your faith steady, and refuse to give up when it gets hard. The valley is not your destination. It's just the route to your mountain. The tears you've cried will water the seeds of your destiny. The nights you spent wondering why will become the mornings you testify, now I see. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to rush what God is unfolding. Just walk with Him, listen to His voice, stay faithful where you are. Because one day soon, you'll look back on everything you thought would break you and realize it built you. There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart, when dreams collapse right before our eyes, and the path ahead feels foggy and uncertain. In those moments, it's easy to question everything, our purpose, our strength, even our faith. But that's exactly when we must hold on tighter than ever, because those moments are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of something God is shaping, something bigger than what you can see right now. God's got a great life for you, but before he reveals it, he often refines you. The refining hurts, it confuses, it breaks comfort zones, yet it's necessary because God never builds greatness on a shaky foundation. He strengthens you through storms, not by sparing you from them. You may feel like everything you worked for is slipping away, but maybe God is shifting the ground so that what's meant for you can take root in stronger soil. You may feel like he's silent, but silence doesn't mean absence. It means he's up to something divine. God's greatest work often happens behind the scenes, in the quiet spaces where your faith is tested and your patience is stretched. When you can't trace his hand, you've got to trust his heart, because what he's preparing you for will require a version of you that pain produces. The broken pieces you carry are not your curse, they are your construction. Every setback you've faced, every tear you've cried, every moment of doubt, none of it was wasted. God uses the wreckage of your past to build the foundation for your future. That's why you can't give up in the middle of the process. What looks like loss is often positioning. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. You're not stuck. You're being shaped. God is pruning away what can't go with you into your next season. Some relationships ended because they couldn't carry the weight of where God is taking you. Some doors closed because they were leading you in the wrong direction. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that everything you thought was breaking you was actually blessing you in disguise. You see, God doesn't design mediocre lives. He doesn't call you to barely make it. He created you for impact, for excellence, for influence. That's why the road to your purpose feels heavy. Because purpose is not cheap. It's costly. It demands growth, discipline, surrender, and faith when you can't see the full picture. And the enemy knows that if you ever discovered what God has placed inside you, you would be unstoppable. That's why he attacks your confidence, your peace, your focus. But what the enemy meant for evil, God is about to turn for good. He's going to use your pain as a platform. He's going to use your scars as evidence that grace works. The very things that tried to destroy you will become the reason others are inspired to rise. God is not just giving you a good life. He's preparing you for a great one, a life that carries meaning, power, and testimony. Every delay is divine timing, every detour is direction, every no from man is making space for God's yes. So don't let frustration make you forfeit your faith. Don't settle for less because you're tired of waiting. God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't feel convenient. The place where you feel most uncomfortable is often where He's birthing something new. You may not be where you want to be, but you are not where you used to be, and that's proof that grace is still guiding your steps. Keep walking, keep believing, keep trusting that even when the path looks rough, the promise is still real. God's got a great life for you, and though it may take time, every second of the journey is shaping you into the person who will be ready to receive it. Sometimes life will test you in ways that seem unfair, stretching you beyond what you thought you could handle. You'll look around and wonder why things aren't working out the way you planned, why prayers seem unanswered, why doors that once opened so easily are now firmly shut. But what if those closed doors are divine protection? What if the things you think are delays are actually redirections towards something better? God doesn't make mistakes. Every obstacle, every delay, every unanswered prayer is serving a greater purpose that you may not see right now. He's not withholding anything good from you. He's preparing something greater than what you asked for. You think you're waiting on God, but often God is waiting on you to grow, to let go, to trust. He's waiting for your faith to mature to the level of your destiny. Because the blessings He has for you require a stronger version of you, a wiser, more disciplined, and more faithful version. There's something powerful about walking through seasons of struggle and still believing. When nothing makes sense, when your heart is heavy, when life feels unfair, yet you still say, "I trust you, Lord." That's when heaven takes notice. That kind of faith moves mountains. It doesn't come from comfort, it's born from chaos. God builds greatness through pressure. Diamonds are formed in darkness, under heat and weight, and so are you. You can't become who you're meant to be without going through what you're going through. Every challenge is chiseling you, shaping you, refining you into the person who can carry the weight of the greatness God has assigned to your name. That's why it's dangerous to compare your life to anyone else's. You don't know the cost of their calling, and they don't know the depth of your preparation. God's timing for you is tailor-made. He's not late, He's exact. When it's time, everything will align. The people, the opportunities, the resources, they'll all show up in perfect sequence because divine order never misses its moment. You've got to understand that the waiting season isn't wasted. It's where God develops your endurance, your focus, and your spiritual strength. If He gave you everything you prayed for right now, you might not be ready to sustain it. So instead of asking, "When will it happen?" start asking, "What are you teaching me in this season?" Because every lesson learned now is equipping you for what's next. Sometimes He'll strip you down to nothing just to show you that He's everything. Sometimes He'll let you walk through the fire so you can discover you were fireproof all along. You'll come out stronger, wiser, and more aware of His presence than ever before. That's how God works. He breaks what's fragile so He can rebuild it to last. Don't let the temporary pain make you lose sight of permanent promise. You may feel like you're behind, but you're right on schedule. God doesn't rush greatness. He's aligning every piece of your life with precision. The people who left you were never meant to stay. The doors that closed were not rejection, they were direction. The delays were not denials, they were divine preparation. So don't let bitterness take root in your heart. Don't let doubt silence your faith. The same God who made a way before will make a way again. He hasn't forgotten you, not for a second. What He's building in your life is so much bigger than your current understanding. It may not look like it now, but everything you're walking through is part of a plan that ends in victory. You may be in the middle of the storm, but the storm doesn't change the promise. God's got a great life for you, and though it may not unfold the way you imagined, it will always be better than what you expected. There comes a time when you have to stop living as if your mistakes disqualified you from God's plan. Too many people are carrying shame from their past, walking around with guilt, and believing that because they failed once, their future is canceled. But God doesn't use perfect people, He uses prepared hearts. Every flaw, every failure, every setback is part of the story He's weaving for your redemption. What the world sees as broken, God sees as usable. He takes the very things that embarrassed you and turns them into evidence of His grace. You may have gone through seasons where you lost your way, but that doesn't mean God lost sight of you. He never gave up on you, even when you gave up on yourself. The path you've walked, even with its pain, is still leading you toward purpose. Because God's got a great life for you, and He's not looking at your past to decide your future. He's looking at your potential, your resilience, and your willingness to rise again. Some of the greatest blessings in your life will come from the places that once broke you. You'll realize that the rejection you faced was protection, that the closed doors were divine redirection, and that the things you thought were working against you were secretly working for you. That's the beauty of how God operates. He knows how to turn your pain into power and your wounds into wisdom. There are lessons hidden inside the hardest moments, treasures buried in the ashes of disappointment. But to see them, you have to stop mourning what didn't work out and start preparing for what's coming next, because what's ahead of you is far greater than what's behind you. The tears you cried watered the ground where your next breakthrough will grow. Every test you faced was training for the calling on your life. You didn't go through all that for nothing. The nights of uncertainty, the seasons of loneliness, the years where you wondered if things would ever change, all of it was God's classroom. He was teaching you how to depend on Him, how to stand strong when life shakes you, how to believe when there's no evidence to hold onto. Those lessons can't be learned in comfort. They're forged in fire. You may not have understood it then, but you'll understand it soon. Every delay was necessary. Every heartbreak was part of your molding. Every time someone walked away, it made room for the right people to walk in. God is building something in you that will outlast every storm. He's equipping you to handle the blessings that are coming, because a blessing you're not ready for can feel like a burden. That's why He takes His time. You may look around and see others rising faster, succeeding sooner, but don't let that shake your faith. What's meant for you will not pass you by. When it's your time, no one will be able to stop what God releases in your life. You won't have to chase it. It will find you. And when it comes, you'll know it was worth every trial, every tear, every lonely night you spent wondering if it was all for nothing. There's something powerful about realizing that God never wastes anything. Not the pain, not the failure, not even the moments you thought were meaningless. He's weaving everything together to create a story that glorifies Him and strengthens you. What you've survived proves you have purpose. What you've endured proves you have strength. What you've overcome proves you're destined for more. You may have walked through the valley, but that valley is not your home. It's the evidence that you're still standing. You made it through what was meant to destroy you, and that means God is not finished with you yet. He's preparing to show you that every season of struggle was leading to this moment. God's got a great life for you, and the best part is, it's just beginning.